I drive my car up to the lake as if there's someone to awake. I haven't been to bed for days, I live in a twilight haze. And I set my heart to the setting sun, and I hope that no one else has done it. And the drinks are never far, open up the bar. I miss you every single day. I wait until we'll start your way. I hate the way I'm straying into these perfect days.
There's a couple of DJs as well that I was going to get in together that had their own kind of DJing gig. Yeah. Anyway, let's crack into it.
Cool.
Hey Ben, welcome to the podcast. It's freaking awesome. Like Rebecca was in like a couple of weeks ago, and she randomly, you turned up just as we were packing away all the gear, and you were like, "Whoa, there's my hairdresser," and she was like, "Hey, that's one of my customers there." You should totally. And then when you left, she was like, "You should totally get Ben on the podcast." I was like, "Okay, sweet. What's Ben into?"
But everything.
Yeah. Hey, but the main thing, so you've been coming in over the last couple of weeks, I mean, chatting about heaps of different things, and we've probably got quite a lot in common. But first off, just tell us a little bit about bodybuilding, powerlifting.
Yeah.
Yeah, powerlifting.
I also I got into powerlifting in 2017. That's why I got this little thing here just to remind me, because I was actually trying to remember the dates yesterday, and I'm like,
yep.
It's been a crazy few years. So,
were you into the gym and stuff before that?
I was very sporty.
Yeah,
I was a sports nut growing up as a kid.
Yeah.
I played everything under the sun. Main sports was soccer and softball.
Yeah.
To the point where, I didn't have the best childhood, but it was my outlet. And, at the age of like 8, 9, I was walking from Riccarton to Rayblank Park in the middle of the night to get to my trainings and that by myself. I had to get myself there, but it just drove that bit of sports passion. As far as the gym goes, I probably started the gym when I was about 20. I was 19, 20. I was probably hanging out with a lot of rat bags and doing a lot of rat bag things, and it was sort of like I had to do something that was away from them.
Yeah.
If, they were still my mates, I was still hanging out with them regardless, but I just needed to have something that just gave me a bit of refocus in life, I guess you could say. So I just started up at City Fitness in town by myself, and, I didn't know how strong I was at the time, because I was just doing it by myself. I didn't follow any bodybuilding forums like people will tell you when they join the gym. They jumped on the forum with this, or they were following this dude. I'd heard of Arnold, but that was about it.
Yeah.
And, I don't look into anything. There's a couple of strong boys up there that they were out the gate strong. They were doing strongman.
Right.
But apart from that, no, I didn't. I sort of circulated in and out of the gym for like probably, I don't know, so from 20 to like 27.
Yeah.
Just using it as a bit of off season for rugby, then league. I played rugby for a couple of years after I stopped playing soccer. Then I got into league at the age of 25 through a guy called Aaron Whitaker, who's got well known in the New Zealand and Australian league circles. He's an ex-warrior and that.
Yeah, for sure.
My mother was friends with his partner, so
cool.
He dragged me down after convinced me playing against his league boys in touch one season. So I got into the gym a little bit more better then. The Horsell Hornets, at the time, they had a good gym there, and I was cracking into that. I already have known a little bit about the gym. But it wasn't until went to Aussie, played league, got into the gym scene a bit better there, and started learning probably a little bit more things. I had a friend over there, Trent. He was a PT, and we trained a lot together, so I learned a lot off him. Yeah. Still, again, just sort of doing bodybuilding style stuff. Never really knew how strong I was comparatively to anyone else until a few years later. I was quite injured with a bad shoulder, and I'd done a little bit of CrossFit when I come back, and that's when I sort of learned to squat, bench, deadlift. Although CrossFitters aren't the best at it, it was a good introduction to it. Yeah. That's when I sort of realised I was actually quite strong, but still again didn't really look at powerlifting. Didn't know how. No. Compared to everyone in the gym, I was way stronger than everyone, but hurt my shoulder a couple of years later, and then I was doing nothing, and a guy who owns a big CrossFit gym here that's quite successful, 6'4" Fitness, call me. He contacted me and says, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I'm not doing anything, just getting fat and doing nothing. Shoulders pretty busted. He was like, "I'll just come down." And at the time, I was a solo dad, so means were a bit tight. So at the time, he just dragged me down there and said, "You train free, and we'll try to get your shoulder back right," and blah blah blah. And after a few months of just squatting, really, and after deadlift, my shoulders started to come right, and he'd looked up the Canterbury powerlifting records, and he goes, "Well, look, we got a week to register for this, and there's a comp in about 4 weeks. Do you want to have a go? Your numbers stack up, pretty good." So I went in there and I broke the Canterbury records. They're strong numbers, but on the comparative on the big scene, they're not. But I was breaking squat records and deadlift records straight off the bat.
Exactly.
2017.
Yeah.
I thought, oh shit, there was a guy here called Stan Croker, big island boy up in Auckland, who was the number one dude, and I was looking at his numbers and I was like, I'm not too far off this guy.
Yeah.
And so put a good year in, and we had a really good battle up in Nationals that year. I come second to him, and I broke a deadlift New Zealand record. He broke it again in the next lift. I went for the third lift, and I couldn't quite lock it out. It was quite cool. It was quite funny because the next day I was still doing CrossFit, so I was sort of like trying to do sprint training and run marathons at the same time. So the very next day I pretty much pulled my last deadlift, packed all my gear up. We'd booked, because obviously Cormier and his partner were CrossFit coaches. We had a team going up to New Zealand's strongest CrossFitter, which was like another 3 lift comp on the Saturday.
Oh, right.
And I was CrossFitting, so I entered in that. So we pretty much from Dunedin jumped in the car straight away after our last deadlift. Didn't get prizes or anything. I just buggered off, and we flew up to Auckland. And the next day, Stan had actually turned up that morning because his sister was competing, and I actually broke the New Zealand deadlift record, which he broke the day before then.
Yep.
Obviously doesn't count because it was a CrossFit comp, but it was just funny.
Right.
He was in the crowd watching, and I pulled it, and his coach at the time and mate took a video of it and made up this cool Van Damme clip. I don't remember the old kickboxing movie where his brother's going, "Don't go out and do it, man. Don't, he'll kill you." And he adds all this into a real cool clip. I've lost it, unfortunately, but that was my first year into powerlifting.
Flip.
And that was competing in powerlifting's a little bit like boxing in a way. There's a lot of federations, and with federations comes a lot of I'm better than you, we're better than you.
Right. Yeah.
I competed in one called the IPF, and they consider themselves the gold standard. Mm-hmm. And in many cases they are. Mm-hmm. They're very, very strict on the way they do things, but they're very controlling as well. And there's an element of without being disrespectful, there's just an element of tall poppy syndrome and not seeing the bigger picture in this country when it comes to powerlifting. So the following year, I sort of started getting accused of being running steroids, and there was a certain person down here running around all the comps going, "Hey, Ben should be tested."
Oh, right.
I was getting tested. I passed. I was clean. But as it sort of put a bad taste in my mouth, I was I was on this projection where it was like, I had a chance of going for some IPF, at least big numbers in the IPF on the world stage, and I thought people would get you behind me, and it didn't happen. So I ended up switching. I ended up getting fed up, so I switched over to another federation, but that year I ended up getting real sick. I got pneumonia twice and strep throat, so I was pretty bad for a year. And then at the end of that year, I ended up trying to get into nationals for another drug-free federation, and I missed the weight cut. I had a bad miscommunication on weigh-in times, and I thought it was 2 hours later, and I was timing it for this thing. And I was still 1.5 kilos over, so I ended up just lifting as a guest lifter, which I shouldn't have done anyway. I was still sick, I couldn't train. It was a cool comp. Still enjoyed doing the comp, and had a really good time after the comp with a lot of the boys that had switched as well. But from there, I got an invite to what was then called the New Zealand Open, and that was when you go from a sleeve squat to a wrap squat, where they take a real coarse material and they wrap your knees.
Yes.
And just gives you a bit of bang out of the hole for squats.
Yep.
And so I'd gone into that comp previously squatting like with sleeves 330 odd kilo, and in that comp I was the biggest squat on the day at 375. And that was that was a huge jump. I burst all the blood vessels in my eyes. So for about 3 or 4 hours afterwards, from about here up, from my nose up, I could only see like
freaking what?
Great grey smoke.
Oh,
Like I was walking to like a rave or something.
Yeah,
that's how my vision was for like the rest of the
Whoa.
night. And
yeah,
my eyes went totally bloodshot, like I'd been smoking joints all day.
Because you're pushing your physical body to the limit.
Yeah,
like
the pressure
and beyond. Yeah,
the blood pressure. Was incredible. So I come third in that comp. If I managed to get my last deadlift, I would have won it. But that was my first jump into the dark side of the hot sauce of taking steroids.
Yeah,
but at a really, really low dose compared to the guys I was competing at. Yes. The biggest advantage of what I did is I got to myself to such a high natural level in powerlifting.
Yeah, that foundation.
Yeah, foundation. My foundation was ridiculous. Where a lot of the guys, pretty much all the guys I compete against, were one stage 90 kilo guys who've put on 20, 30, 40 kilo through steroid use of years and years. Where I was just coming in at this 118 kilo guy competing in 125s, still only 118 kilo, and only just having a small amount. And it sort of gave me an inkling of like, shit. And I started looking at world records.
Where could we take this?
Where could we take this? And who's doing what in the 125s? And so I was still doing league and still doing CrossFit.
Oh, okay.
I'm all doing that. Yeah. So I end up flagging that and getting pretty serious on it. And from there, doing that comp, I got an invite to what you call Pro Raw, and it was a powerlifting comp that they ran at the Arnold Schwarzenegger Sports Festival in Melbourne, which at the time was like one of the biggest sports festivals in this time of the world. And 250,000. Oh no, yeah, not 250,000. It was crazy amount of people through the gate, maybe 50,000, 70,000 through the gate over 3 days. And if you look at the old videos of Pro Raw, there'd be 1,000, 1,500 people watching us, and it was crazy. And top 10 guys in the world were supposed to be there, and my numbers were looking like I was going to be top 3. But that was the first week of COVID lockdown. So I'd done all this prep, everything.
Damn.
Paid me tickets, paid for me handlers. First time out of the country for ages since living there. Never been to Melbourne. Really pumped for this, and of course COVID comes and she was all over.
It up for everyone.
So just ended up doing nationals after that. Broke a few world records in that comp. I thought I only broke 2. The squat. Leading into the comp, I broke my rib, so I didn't know what I was going to be able to do on the day. Long story short, and I fell over and then didn't get my squat depth. And on my third squat, which was almost bombing out of the comp, I managed to get it at 390, which was really comfortable looking squat.
So do they take the best out of 3 kind of thing?
Yeah, your biggest squat. Yeah. So your biggest squat, your biggest bench, your biggest deadlift, and it accumulates a total. But if you don't get any of the 3 lifts, you bomb. So like my first 2 lifts, I 1 squat to go. If I didn't get it, that was the day done. 6 months, 8 months, since almost a year worth of training, year and a bit worth of training.
There's so much kind of hanging on it, and like you say, I mean, it's not just the day; it's the months and the years leading up to it, and even the weigh-in is really important, and then this is really important, and then that's really important. And do you find yourself looking at different cycles that you need to kind of fall into? Like to be able to tick those boxes? Yeah.
It gets timing, like because you're timing for a peak.
Yeah.
You're basically competing for. You're doing, say at the level I was at, you might peak once a year, maybe a soft peak. So you're doing essentially 9 months of training. A little off season, but 9, 10, 12 months of training for 9 lifts that take 5 seconds each.
Wow.
So, 45 seconds worth of competing.
Yeah.
So, timing the peak is paramount. I see a lot of guys train and they're doing huge numbers in their in their trainings, and then come to the day, they're like way off their training numbers, and that you're like,
oh man, that must be so frustrating. Although, like, all of that thing should be kind of nailed down if you're at that level, right?
Yeah, to a certain degree. I think.
I mean, but you know, there's a lot of environmental factors and external things which potentially will
travel, the weight cut. Weight cuts can be tricky for some guys to get right. Ego and stubbornness.
Yeah.
When training, like just checking your ego at the door, like and staying in the pocket, like not pushing yourself out, because your central nervous system plays a huge part in how your body's going to react.
Yes.
And what a lot of guys think is it's body fatigue. It's actually not. It's excuse me. It's mental fatigue.
Yeah.
And once your CNS system goes, no, I've had enough, your body can be great. But once the central nervous system, the mind's gone, no, I need a break. You don't time that right, you're done.
Isn't it? That's fascinating. I mean, that's like a life kind of metaphor, whether it's in business or any type of thing. You know, if your head's not kind of in it, just kind of right. And it's very hard to kind of be consistent with that type of thing, because I don't know, it's just life, and there's so many little things coming at you all the time. And then, with a business, it can, you kind of feel like you are the business. You have a bad day, you have a good day, and it takes time to build fitness as well, almost from a financial kind of businessy kind of way.
Mental resilience. It's like what we were talking about before, like how it was good working across the road for the boys, At the moment I'm just on the contract wages. So every week I'm getting paid. I haven't had to chase the dollar up for a while, and it's been so good on my mental stress. Whereas through those periods of doing the powerlifting in there, I was doing contracts and chasing money all the time. So my CNS get cooked. I was in a relationship at the time as well with a woman that was, by all rights, a great woman, but not great for me. And we would clash. She ran on high anxiety, and everything had to be dealt with right here and now, and in the heat of the moment. And I'm a bit more of a, hey, I just need a little bit of space, and I need some hindsight thoughts going on, but I could never get that. So, if you don't have that right, your CNS system is affected in all parts of your life.
Totally.
And you know from running a business that things don't take over, and it starts to mentally fucking drain you out.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
I mean, we've got a friend that's been quite ill, and we've been looking at the two nervous systems, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, which is more the autonomic one. And, the sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system and stuff like that, the vagus nerve and all of that type of thing. Like, I never knew it existed. When I first heard about it, it almost sounded like magic. And I was just like, what? But
woo-woo.
Which is utterly ridiculous. Like, it's a physical nerve that controls our digestion and all sorts.
It's something I've been learning a lot of in the last couple of years. All that stuff, and I'm still really raw in the area of it. But just the awareness now of a lot of that stuff. Like, your phone is like probably the worst thing for that stuff.
The screen
overload,
time and
the overload of information and the overload of people. Like, my partner calls it gets peopled out, and I do too. Where it's just like, in the last probably 2 year, I've cut the fat in my life, meaning I just don't. I used to run around I probably used to call it Captain Save-A-Ho. Like, everyone would come to me with their issues, whether it be advice or can you help me with this, and I'd drop everything to go help everyone, and I wouldn't get that in return, which would leave me in this sort of like
deficit.
But my personal life, my close people were suffering because of that, and I'd done it all my life, and I didn't realise that I was doing it. I thought it was just that's what you did. But you can't. You've got to look after yourself first and foremost, because then if you don't, then you can't look after those around you.
100%. It's you're right, and it's
such a massive realisation when
it really is.
People click onto that one.
Well,
you don't know, like you said, you don't know you're doing it, but you feel freaking drained.
And you feel betrayed. And at the end of the day, you feel betrayed by those people, but actually you're betraying yourself.
Well, it's
people are self-centered. We're all self-centered.
For sure.
And you can't rely on people giving you back the energy that you give them. So you've got to be very protective of your energy, and that's something that I've learned a lot in the last, especially the last 2 years, where I've had some really shit things happen in my personal life, and one example is with my children's mother. I used to keep trying to help, but we were so volatile that I'd try help, and then the situation would get volatile, and then it'd be like a reset and would go again, and it just happened for 8 years to the point where now I've got to fight in court to see my kids.
That's tough.
But it's tough,
man.
And it was real tough at the start, especially when a couple of other things were happening with it and getting used against me, and which I felt were unfair. But at the end of the day, a lot of the things that led me to that were my decisions, and it was my decision to keep helping someone who's an adult and has adult decisions to make for themselves. And you can't hold adults' hands. Well, you can't. No. The old saying, you can guide a horse to water, but you can't make it drink it.
Yeah.
I've learned, just don't worry about taking them to the water.
Yeah,
There's enough information out there now. Yeah. The water's all around them. What I mean?
You're 100% right.
Well, we're already swimming in the bloody lake, just take a sip. But
my wife came up with a good. She had something the other day. You did right, but there is an inclination. If you see a need, you want to fulfil it.
Yeah.
I have that kind of thing in me as well. That streak. But my wife Peter said, what did she say? She listens to a few podcasts, and one of them was about the relationship is more important than the advice that you can give someone sometimes. Like, you don't necessarily need to be giving advice or kind of trying to shape someone's life for the better. It's just necessarily having a relationship with someone, and that's a really powerful thing in and of itself.
Sometimes just listening and not talking back.
Because
and men, we think very logical.
Well, that's right. If we see a problem, we're going to kind of fix it.
Yeah. And your partner's always going to come to you with the problem, but she's not actually coming to you to fix the problem. She's coming to you to offload the emotional side of the problem. Yeah. And she doesn't want the logical fucking answer.
No.
She says, hey, you need to be doing this. It's like, it's not about that. It's like,
and to be fair, we don't always fix the problems in our own lives as quick as we would like to fix the problems in other people's lives.
It's easy. What's it?
Well, it's like the tradie, the builder, who's, great at fucking building, but his own house is kind of like a bit of a wreck. It's like a half-complete job.
I think that's why I was so good at giving advice to people or at giving them, things to try to do to help them, because, I've done all the mistakes. I continue to do all the mistakes, and I know what I should be doing. So when I see someone else come to it, it's like, well, if you did this and that, solve that. And they go, why don't you do it? Because, put it into practice is harder than,
Yeah. But that self-reflection, it sounds like it's a crucial part of the whole powerlifting thing, because you've got to be in tune with yourself in order to be able to get the results. Yeah. That's cool. So
lifting 390 kgs, mate, that is just phenomenal.
Yeah, I got into
That's unreal.
The day I broke my rib. So with some of the stuff I was taking, you could dehydrate pretty fast, and so I was spray painting a house, the inside of a house, and you wear a big, we call it a condom suit, but big spray suit, and you're hot. You're sweating. It was a summer day, and so I'm in this thing for about 4 or 5 hours, and I go to the gym, and usually weighing around 130. I was weighing 124 kilos. I was like, oh shit, I'm a bit light today. And in my head I was like, should I call this training? And I was like, nah. My ego took over. I was like, nah, I'm good, I'm sweet. We're up to new numbers on my squat, and I was at 4. Today's number was 420 on the bar, and so went through the warm-ups, everything's feeling great. Felt a little bit thinner in the midsection. We used to having a bit of a power belly, and so put 420 on there, get it on, unrack it. She's all good. Go down, mint, pop up, not a problem. But I hear this pop, pop, pop in my body. Like no one would have heard it, but I get that internal cracking and popping.
Yeah,
and I'd split a rib, so I had like this fracture.
Whoa.
I didn't really notice it. Didn't really notice it at the time. Like I felt that. I come off the squat. I wasn't sore. It wasn't until a couple of minutes later, after the adrenaline of the squat wore off, I was like, "Fuck, I'm not quite right." Just high up in the rib here. I was just like, "I'm not quite right there." And then it was the next day. I was like a bit sore, and I'm like moving. Like, oh, that's not right. And I put my hand there, and I moved, and I could feel it pushing out.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I've fractured a rib. I didn't go to the doctor for it because I know I understand ribs. There's nothing they can do. Doctor's going to tell me stop lifting.
Yeah.
But I knew the case was that if I continue on the train and I make it worse, I just have to get straight to the doctor then because of a punctured lung.
Yeah.
There's the risk of that.
Oh,
but until then, I tried to keep training. I couldn't really train for that 6 weeks. But yeah, the numbers were getting up there on the squat. I wanted 1,000 pounds or something close to, which is 450, 445. Which I don't think there's many guys in my weight division at all that have hit that. Maybe a handful.
It's unreal.
Less. From what I understand, there's only been about 16 guys hit those numbers in comp. I've over 400 in comp, which I haven't hit yet, but I'm capable of going deep into the.
So how long ago was the broken rib?
So that was in. So the last time that was 2020.
Yeah.
And the last time I competed was 2021.
Yeah.
And then I sort of mucked around for a while, kept training, and then had a whole heap of things happen in life, and I was just like, it's just not worth it. I was starting to, because my personal life was really chaotic, I was becoming quite chaotic. It's a real obsessive sport.
Right.
And given the use of gear and all that sort of stuff, you've really got to be mentally on your game.
Yeah.
And if your personal life isn't, it's all good. The gym's an escape from it, and it probably might even take you up a level in the gym. But as soon as you leave the gym, you're back to bloody reality. And when I'm running around playing captain save a hole for a few people, and there was a couple of bad instances that went on that I was lent on for, which should have been lent on to the police. And I probably took things too far with some people, and I just sort of gave up. I was like, this is not for me at the moment. I've got a new partner. It's costing, some of the stuff almost cost me my relationship with my partner, and it's the best partner I've ever had in my life. She's my peace.
Yeah.
Having a woman that brings you peace when you go home is a rare thing.
Yeah.
In this world. So I put it all on hold and just concentrated on myself, and it was actually her that, in the last couple of months, I was sort of sitting there and I was watching powerlifting nationals go by. I've been training and staying in touch with my numbers, knowing that if I'm doing this in the gym, if I was periodising a training program, I'm back to where I was within 6 months. Not a problem. I'm staying in touch here.
Yes.
If anything, my bench press was stronger than it's ever been before.
Yeah.
My deadlift was pretty much on par with where it was. I just wasn't squatting those big numbers, but I was doing squat variations that gave me indications that I'm still there. And I was watching all the powerlifting comps in New Zealand, and I'm going, fuck, do I have another go? Do I not? And then I reached out to a guy, just randomly reached out to a dude who put a post up about just normal gym bunnies needing to get stronger. And I messaged him, and I messaged him. He was like, send a message saying strength. So I sent him a message saying strength. And he messaged me back, how you going, mate? How can I get you stronger in the gym? And I was like, I'm more looking for a tailor-made coach. These are my numbers. We were actually going to compete against each other a couple of years ago. He's like, oh shit, you're pretty strong. It's like, yeah, we got to chatting, and the reason why I went to this guy, his name's Sebastian Orb, and he's considered one of the best powerlifting coaches in the world at the moment, and he is. But he's my age. He's been at those levels. Successful business, successful marriage, great dad.
Yeah.
He ticked all the lifestyle boxes that I need from a coach.
Yeah.
He's been there, done that. And there's a couple other coaches I could have gone to, but they haven't done what he's done outside of the gym and done inside of the gym.
That's really smart, Ben, to look at that balance and that aspect of it, because it's impossible to isolate just sport and just have that as your world
at that level.
Isn't it?
It's not. It is. It's part of your at-home life.
Yeah.
And so, like I said to him, I said, this is what I want to do. I think I can get back there. These are what I'm doing at the time. But I said to him, like, the most important thing to me is I've got to do this healthy, body and mind. I said, as soon as it looks like it's going out the door, I've got to pull it. My relationship's everything to me. So, and I need someone who can see that.
Yeah.
Who's not blinded by, I've got another athlete that I can take to the top. And he trains Thor.
Yeah.
That's out of Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
I thought, I can't say his name, the big Icelandic dude.
Yeah.
He's the strongest dude in the world, biggest
Yeah.
deadlift in the world, you know. And he trains a couple of other extremely strong guys. So he doesn't need me. He's not running off the clout of having this athlete.
Yeah.
I'm just another one of the team, you know. And so he can make better decisions for my health and my journey in this. And he can turn around and tap me on the shoulder and go, "No, mate, I think..."
There's a wisdom in
awesome.
that. Yeah, there's definitely a wisdom in that. And it's, it just takes time. It takes time for, everyone to just deal with all of this stuff in their life, in their childhood, because it's kind of just it builds up stratas, right? And it builds up who we are. And often we have to go back down and examine it and sort of get rid of different bits and bobs. And
my childhood wasn't good, you know, for many, many reasons, but I really like where I am in life now, and if it wasn't for each one of those steps, I'd be somewhere else, better or for worse.
Yeah.
Who knows? But I enjoy what's going on now.
Exactly.
And, you know, great partner, love me dogs.
Yeah.
Got a couple of really good mates, you know, running around on bloody bikes now I never thought I'd have. And
yeah, man.
And just
so one of the things that I was thinking about those Harleys, how much do they weigh? I was thinking
the big fat boy's about 320 kilo, I think.
Shit, that's insane to think you could lift that.
I was imagining you.
Well, I dropped the bloody thing a few months ago, and coming into a roundabout, I hit some. I hit some grit on a roundabout at Pegasus out on the main highway. And I just, because it's got big 8 hangers, I was in the right hand lane. I was on the right hand side of the lane. Just all mistakes. I was only on the front brake, not on the back. You know, I had 18-inch hangers on it, and so as soon as you look one way, you follow. And I was like, oh shit! And then it just bang, it went from underneath me. So and it didn't really hurt. It was embarrassing more than anything, and it did a bit of damage. But you know, I had to pick the bloody thing up in the middle of this roundabout. They're not. There's ways to pick them up. A little girl could pick them up if you taught her to do it. But there's techniques to it. But
I don't feel like that's 100% accurate.
I've seen them on YouTube do it, mate. Trust me.
Oh, sweet.
Do it. But no, it's this way. But you know, the big bikes, it's actually a lot easier to ride than a small bike. Yeah. You feel more sturdy on it. They're like driving a big automatic, whereas the small bikes are temperamental clutches, temperamental accelerators. You stall them all the time. They're a lot more wobblier.
Oh, yeah.
But I've never had a small bike either.
Yeah.
So I just went straight on and had a couple of big bikes.
Yeah. That's awesome.
And when I went into the pre-ride down at Addington, they put you on this little bloody dirt bike thing, and
is that right?
Yeah, and
for the license,
for the licenses,
I see.
And I'm like riding this thing, like, fuck, this is really fucking hard. Yeah, manual turn off the indicators and just like, and she's like, just run around first or second, and I'm like, it's like, oh, it's real touchy, and like, then you got to go around these fucking cones. I was like, geez, this is fucking horrible. And I'm thinking to myself, how do these kids pass these bloody bike tests? But
yeah. So you haven't always been a motorcyclist?
No. My mate that I live with, we've got the bikes, and he's the one that sort of helped me get into my first one, and he actually, funny enough, when he buggered off overseas a few years ago, he had a big victory, and he left that to me. He goes, oh, you take the bike home. And I'm like, I hadn't ridden the bike for 20 years, and it was at his brother's, and I'm like, oh, I'll chuck the helmet on, see what happens. So I rode it from Papua New Guinea to Barrington. First time I've ridden a bike in 20 years. But it was easy. It was cool. Legit. You know, I know my way around like a motorbike. But it was actually super fucking easy, and I was like, oh shit. Yeah, these aren't as intimidating as you think they are. Because I was intimidated by it. You know, it doesn't matter the size of it. Because I hadn't ridden, hadn't ridden the bike. So.
No, I mean, motorbikes are kind of dangerous, and
man.
Well, I mean,
I think actually other drivers are dangerous.
The combination of the person. It's really the person, isn't it?
My closest calls have just come from people being unaware.
Yeah, man.
Pulling out, just.
Totally,
yeah.
And this time of year, classic Christmas driving, all that kind of crazy shenanigans. I mean, admittedly, I always find myself doing something slightly crazy at this time of year myself. So
people are just distracted now.
I know I'm one of those people.
Just people are just more distracted now. And I think like it's the more rules we have on the road, the more crashes we have. When you look at countries that have barely any rules per capita, their crash rate's way, way down.
Yeah.
You know, rules make complacency.
Yeah.
You chuck a phone and they're not supposed to be on, or
Have you done any long rides, like around the South Island?
Just around Canterbury and the wider parts of Canterbury. Like we probably spent 5 hours on the bike on Saturday. We want to plan a couple of little rides. Like I want to go down to the Burnt Munro. Bike festival. That's in February. I'm not sure if we'll get there this year, but that'll be a good big ride. So I haven't seen much of the South Island down south.
No.
And like I've been and worked at that Flock Hill station.
Yeah,
man, it was awesome, eh? Like just the ride, just to drive in, like
totally.
driving into these big mountains, shingle mountains, where guys do go from hunting for goats and all sorts of shit. Yeah. And then where we were, you're just surrounded 360 degrees by these big ass mountains, and you're right on the foot of it, eh? Like there. And it's like, I've got to get further down south and check it out. Yeah, man. Like I've always wanted to go there. They've got a seasonal kayaking, like I think it's like 2 to 4 day trip you can pick. Is it the Milford Sound down south? Yeah. So you can kayak the sound. On the seasonal turn, so you get to see all the big ice cliffs and all that. But you're not in the cold of winter. No, I've never been to Milford Sound either, or Doubtful Sound and stuff like that. But I've been to Te Anau and Invercargill and sort of down that way, but not on that side. What is it, the Haas Pass? I haven't even been through there. I've never seen Queenstown. I've never done any of that. I've been to Dunedin a couple of times, just like powerlifting and then just in and out. But on the bike you can just even in a car, to be honest. Exactly. I wouldn't mind even just hiring a camper van or something for a week and just
do a big road trip.
Because I've done the road trip through the North Island and the upper north and that, where it's beautiful. Like I'd love to live up there. But never done the lower south. No. And I've got friends that live all the way down to Invercargill as well, but let's come down. We'll get round to it, Yeah, Invercargill's cool. It reminds me of Christchurch pre-quake. It's just real old school. It's like going back to your childhood. Cheap bloody house. Like when I grew up in Christchurch, just the buildings and the different kind of feel about it. I really enjoyed going down there. I was like selling, coffee or working for a coffee company and going to check on the customers every month or whatever it was. It was good. And I went down to one of those beaches, and I think where they do that racing on the beach, the motorcycle racing. Just a massive long straight beach. So that's where the Burnt Munro is. And they sort of just, from what I understand, they sort of just pretty much have like a big camp settlement damn near close to that beach, and they'll have it's just a couple of days of gigs of just bikers, really, just all sorts of bikers. You get the odd gang and that there, I think, presence, but they're all down there for a purpose, and it's nothing to do with that. And people race their bikes on the beach as well. The motorbiking fraternity, man, it's massive. It's massive. Huge. It's huge. I mean, obviously there's a big influx in gangs in Christchurch, New Zealand, because of all the laws that have happened in Australia and that. But I live down by that Ferry Road roundabout, and mate, the amount of groups of bikes that go through there nightly, and I'm talking 20, 30, 40 bikes, sometimes more. They're not gangs, they're just riding clubs and that. Even the bloody moped bloody gangs. Mate. I get these wee choppers and tricked up bloody 50cc and 125 bikes, and they sound thumpy and that. You put your head out looking at the camera, these little bikes, guys, like big guys on little bikes. So that's the roundabout when you blast out to Littleton, out that way. And we see them all, man. You hear them, especially in the weekend. I think it's probably as it gets towards later of the week as well. There's guys getting out their crutch rockets and that as well. You hear them flying through there. And there's heaps of them, eh? There's a lot of bikes in Christchurch. Because that wee strip from Littleton to Sumner, or actually to the top of the hill, it only takes you about 2 minutes to get up there, but it's a really brand new, flat, twisted road. True. It's a nice road to ride. It's a shame that all of the hills aren't like that. It's the old post-quake, earthquake. The road. Yeah, because the rest of the hills will break your teeth sometimes if you go too fast around them. You've got a lot of bumps and that, and you chang your jaw a lot.
Yeah, I've got a friend. He used to ride, do a lot of motorbiking, but he hadn't done it for about 20 years or something, and he just got back into it. And man, he's loving it.
Yeah,
he's loving it. And he rocks up. If he just sees another motorcyclist on the street, you just rock up and start chatting, and it's an instant fraternity.
It's funny, like, and what I've noticed riding around, just even around town, and that it's a farming culture, or a town, like like a small town culture. And what I mean is, maybe not so much the big bad bikies do it, but every other dude on a bike is
man,
waving, always wave with the old helmet nod.
Yeah.
Every bike. 9 times out of 10 you get your helmet nod here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No,
my mate's like real hard out on like learning how to ride better.
Yeah.
It's like, man, there's a real art in it.
Mate, it's little subtleties is the way you balance your brakes coming to corners, the line, the head, where your shoulders are, dropping a knee down. Even on the big Harley, I notice if I drop a knee out the bike and put my head down, I go around the corner so much better.
Kind of responds,
and my mate, he makes me paranoid sometimes. Like we're pretty low end learner riders, but he does this opposite body thing, and it's a bit of a no-no. And I'm sitting there going, bro, don't do that, because you find it so much easier. Just drop your head into it, and the bike will go around the corner. Yeah. But it will get there. There's a couple of good courses you can do out at the racetrack as well, apparently. Guys will take you through and help you better and learn lines and braking zones. And
mate, if I buy a motorbike, that's what I'm definitely going to go and do one of those courses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, even just the stuff like you pick up at the pre-course, the little driving things you got to do before you sit your practical. Diet's got heaps of tips, just little subtleties that just make things like leading your head into the corners. At first, it feels more dangerous. Yeah. But once you understand it and how it works, it's like, actually, this is actually safer. I've got more control of the cornering and how I pitch and what have you. Yeah,
my mate's like an engineer, so he's always going into the physical dynamics of it. And he's like real into it. He's always yakking on about it. Yeah. It's real interesting.
Yeah, because it's really easy to overshoot. I almost overshot a corner on Saturday. I didn't realise we're coming to these new S-bends on a road I hadn't been on. And they were tighter than what I thought they were. And I went around the corner okay, but I was like, shit, I normally wouldn't shoot that fast into a 45. And there was a lot of traffic coming the other way. I was like, don't do that. There could have been grit on the road. I could have slid,
That's right. Yeah, my mate did the same thing going up to Ekarara. So he says, man, I never do this, but just on this one corner it came up real quick and I overshot it. Yeah. But luckily there was no car coming the other way.
Oh, real.
Sort of thing.
Yeah, I've always been a bit I've been Ekarara. Like I said, in the summer it's supposed to be okay, but they put so much grit and stuff down on the roads between here and there. It just makes me nervous, especially just on a bigger bike. Once because I've got 18s on my bike, so once you got less control, so you lose that front wheel, it just goes. You can't fight it back.
No, it happens so quick. Far out. That's interesting. I mean, that's another metaphor for life, isn't it? Motorcycle, and just trying to one off moment, and you're on the ground. Yeah, and you're thinking, what the hell's happened? You're picking yourself up.
Yeah, you're not
trying to remember what the hell happened.
It's not like driving home in a car, when you're like, oh shit, I don't even remember the drive home.
No,
you remember the fucking part of the ride. Okay.
So that probably helps you keep your head in the game as well.
And also, I reckon what it does do, what I've found, the way I am, I'm a bit of an overthinker and a stress head and what have you, is that it wipes my mind of all that. Yeah. I can't, I would never put a podcast on riding a bike. I'd put music on. But I tend to put old school music on, not fast beat new music. Like I'm listening to Hotel California, Tracy Chapman playing. I'm playing all these old school classics and that, just because it will keep me here. As soon as I start putting on something that's a bit, I'm fucking putting more up the throttle and I'm going for it. You know what I mean?
My mate's a bit of an overthinker as well. But when he's on that bike, he says, no, you have to have a clear head and know exactly what's going on.
It clears your head.
Yeah.
Like you have to be dialed in. Yeah. And my missus is always saying, "You need to go for a ride. You go for a ride." Yeah. Off you go. See you later. I'm gonna read a book. Sweet.
Hey, one of the things we often talk about also is diet and stuff, Ben. And I've been doing this crazy carnivore diet for a while now.
Yeah.
I'm probably up to about week 6.
How are you finding it?
It's good. Like, I'm waking up, I might have told you, but I feel empty but not hungry.
Yeah.
I feel empty but kind of satisfied.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I've mainly just been eating meat. I've still been, like last night for dessert I had kind of Greek yogurt, just like a plain one, no sugar in it, and a few blueberries and stuff. Like there's different extents. You can go quite extreme. You can go to that real prescriptive...
mince, and that's it. Salted mince.
Yeah. It's just freaking ruminant meat, like cow, lamb, water, salt. Yeah. But I've kind of,
What's the deal with ruminant meat? Why only ruminant?
Why ruminant? I think it's just the meat. Like, they just eat. I don't know. They just eat grass. It's all this grass-fed kind of stuff, and they. It's just. I think they consider it a cleaner kind of meat, maybe.
Well,
I'm not 100% sure.
I don't know the ins and the outs and the scientific terms and all the shit that comes with it, but I mean a good point, a good case study is probably Jordan Peterson's daughter.
Yes,
if you ever listened to her, so she was full of arthritis and MS and a couple of other issues, and given a very short lifespan, she's perfectly healthy, great shape, beautiful skin, good weight, and all that. Doing bloody talks all around the world, very, very smart woman. Yeah. And she just has mince and salted mince. And he does the same thing, because he was showing some issues as well. And he'd lost like 50, 60 pounds of weight. But I think that very basic, high quality meat that's quite nutrient dense doesn't come with any inflammation issues. And it's like, do you feel light or just not inflamed in the morning?
Yeah.
So
that's right.
So being my size, and with what I do, I notice when I have inflammation foods. Yeah. And I feel a bit more bloated. Yeah. I feel tighter in my hips, my knees a little bit, get a bit of an ache in them. Yes. But if I go to just strict meat and I don't have any bread, even rice not too bad, but any breads, and even if I cut out my vegetables just for a couple of days and just have steak or just have mince, I feel like I've just like
kind of zoned in,
but tightened. My body's just gone relaxed and tightened up. Whereas I'm used to being tight, being pushed out. Yes, where I'm tired of just coming in.
That's right.
And like people just don't realise too. At the end of the day, your digestive system is a muscle group that probably works more than any other muscle group in the body. It needs a rest. And you either rest by... So like having just basic steak and mince is like active recovery. Yeah. So, for me on an off day of training, I'll go do active recovery. I'll go for a walk. I'll go do something. So I'm still moving, I'm still functioning, but I'm not stressing the body.
Yeah, you're right.
And fasting, like people think fasting is a way to lose weight. The only way to lose weight is calories in, calories out. Yeah. So you can fast for 23 hours of the day, but if you're still eating over your calorie count...
I think sometimes it can even have the opposite effect. If the body goes into a sort of the thought process or like the state of starving, when you do reintroduce
metabolism,
food, it will kind of store it as fat.
Yeah, because... And like I said, if you're still hitting around your normal calories, but you're bulk eating in a short period of window, how does your digestive system get rid of that amount of food? It won't. But that's why carnivore and carnivore works really well. Fasting is because it's high dense calorie foods, but it's a smaller amount. So your body, volume-wise, can handle it, although you're still getting the energy that you need because of the high calories. And the good thing about it, is you're trying to hit that 70-30 mark, fats and protein. It's a long release energy source. So you've got the small amount of food, long release, go back into your fasting state, so you have that amount of energy for your whole fasting state. What stuffs it up is chucking in carbs. Yeah, right. It's like freaking Alice in Wonderland or Through the Looking Glass. Like I've suddenly
look through the other side, and then you look back and you're like, flip. So those feelings that I had weren't like necessary. I didn't need to feel, and I didn't even know that I was feeling bad or inflammation or bloated or any of those things until I went through the looking glass. Just started eating meat.
Being in here after a few weeks on it.
Yeah.
And you were just talking about what you talked about, and you're just like, man, this is unbelievable. Yeah. And you're just like really clear.
The good thing with the fasting, though, is it's full rest of your digestive system.
Yeah.
It gets to relax.
Yeah.
It's not,
yeah.
After you've had your last meal, a few hours later, it's done its thing.
That's right. And I used to be in that cycle. Yeah. I was just constantly having to stuff food through because the food wasn't that nutritious. So you need to eat more of it to get the nutrition and energy that you need.
And you're having gluten.
And you're just forcing heaps of crap through your body.
And then and your absorption rate, your digestive system slows right down. So you're not getting the energy you need out of the food, so you need more food.
Yeah.
And you're drawing blood from all your other muscle groups into those organs because they're working hard and that's what's working.
Yeah.
And then you feel lethargic.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. So that's why they say after if you have a big feed, like a big Christmas feed, and you're feeling tired, go for a walk.
Yeah.
Move that blood around the body.
Yeah.
Because all the blood goes to your organs, and it's like working overtime. That's why you feel lethargic. You're actually working out.
Yeah.
That's the tiredness of it.
Yeah. I think this is like it's a gradual, like for me it's been a process and I've been just learning to listen to my body again.
Yeah.
Before I was just completely deaf to it, but now I'm beginning to listen to it and hear it, what it's actually telling me, like when to eat, how much to eat. And before...
So you're listening to your body, not your mind.
That's right. Before it was just like,
addiction.
right, eat fruit and veggies and all the time, even if you don't enjoy them, just eat them because they're good for you and have 3 meals a day, snack in between.
Yeah.
But now it's like, I don't have any of that. And it's such a massive mind shift. It's such a...
Because I think what happens is it's an addiction. Like for someone like me who's eating such huge amounts of food and I try to cut back, I'm not hungry. I'm just fucking addicted to food.
Yeah.
And my mind's going, go
We
eat,
just go to it.
Go
Yeah.
eat, go eat. And it was like, I think I was telling you the other day, it was like, the kids are a prime example of how we eat naturally. Most kids hate having breakfast. They're in tune to fast.
Yeah, they definitely wait an hour or two before they
wait
get
an hour
up.
or two. You're like, hey, here's some toast.
Yeah.
And here I'm going, you need to have your breakfast, the most important meal of the day.
Yeah.
What have you been fed?
Yeah.
Breakfast, the most important meal of the day. We're Kiwi kids. We eat Weet-Bix. Weet-Bix is fucking terrible for you.
Oh, I know.
But you're so brainwashed to eat it. And then what's the other option of Weet-Bix?
Yeah.
It's sugar cereals. And then what do we put on our cereals?
Yeah.
We put processed milk.
Yeah.
And then what we add to that? Some sugar. Oh no, put brown sugar on it. It's better.
That's right.
You just carry
Yep.
Tell me the difference between a kid going to the cupboard all the time, trying to eat because you're sugar loaded it, and a crackhead trying to find his next puff on the pipe.
Yeah. No, it's very...
You are creating, like, parents don't want to hear this. I've told parents this. I said, you're creating crackheads. And what do you mean? So sugar's the most addictive food and the thing. So I feed my kid toast on jam. It's like, toast bread turns to sugar in the system.
Yep.
And then you're putting probably a shit spread on there.
Yeah.
You might be putting butter on it. No one really uses butter.
Yeah.
Should be using butter.
Yeah, heck yeah.
And what are you doing? Jam?
Yeah.
Jam, sugar.
I know.
Or peanut butter. Peanut butter's calorie count in that is so you're carved and fatted your kid up. Like it's crazy. And you wonder why come 3 o'clock. And then at 3 o'clock you get your kids home and you have the nerve, this is what I say, you have the nerve to tell your kid off at 3 o'clock when all you've done is spike its sugar level all day. Breakfast. Yeah. What'd you give it to lunch? What'd you give it to play? Packet food, sandwich. That's just constant sugar spiking your kid all day. Of course they're crashing at 3 o'clock and they've got a bad attitude.
Yeah.
They've had to try learn on sugar spikes all day and they come home and people are like, now get outside and go play.
Yeah.
No, put your kid down and let him rest for an hour. He needs to chill. They need to zone out. They need to decompress from the chaos of the food and the people they've had to deal with all day.
Yeah, I think as adults, we're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And then we're getting our kids into the same
Programmed
cycle. Because, I used to get the shakes and, just crash as well. and I'd always just stuff my face full of carbs or whatever, sandwiches or honey or whatever. And but yeah, children especially, just before dinner, they have, they're very tired. Mentally they're tired, they've had a big day, and then, they go down, and they often come to the parents and they say, I'm starving.
Yeah.
I'm starving. And the parents are always like, you're not starving. Whatever. But in actual fact, I think at that point, they're just experiencing, the day's biggest crash of all. But if you level them out with more fat and protein throughout the day, especially with the breakfast, starting them off with eggs and bacon.
Also when they come
like
home,
that.
it's the sensory, like they've gone into sensory overload all day.
Yeah.
So they come home, it's a calmer environment.
Yeah.
So when it's a calmer environment, what are they going to focus on?
Yeah.
Food.
Well, yeah.
Those packet of chips they know, or those biscuits they know.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, so because the sensory overload's gone.
I recall doing that myself.
Yeah, I did it.
Yeah.
And then it actually builds a bad relationship with food.
Yeah. Well, we all, if you had asked me 5 weeks ago whether I ate healthily, I would have said yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got a healthy diet.
Oh,
it's real balanced.
Yeah.
And what balanced means is that I eat whatever I want. Yeah. Essentially.
Or you've been groomed to think that's healthy.
Yes.
Yes.
That's one of the feelings I have been. I feel like I have been groomed all my life to eat whatever I want, whenever I want it, but it's not actually been real food that we should be eating.
And people will sit there and argue with you, and it's like, look at the body shapes of people today.
Totally.
And look at the body shapes of people in the 60s.
Yeah, man.
And it's like, I mean, this sounds pretty mean, and I'm not in a great shape as body-wise would go, but I said to my missus when we were at the beach last year, and I said this in earshot of a guy, and his missus looked at him and she started laughing. I shouldn't have said this. But I said, look at the amount of skinny guys now with A-cup breasts.
Yeah.
Like their chest shape.
Yeah, yeah.
It is shaped like a breast.
Yeah.
You go to the beach next time you have a look, and you'll start noticing it.
Yeah, man.
And as they get bigger, that gets worse.
Yeah.
It's from skinny people. They've got the shape of breasts.
You're right.
And it's like that's because of the diet. It's the estrogen buildup, the testosterone suppression in young men.
Totally.
Like the 50-year-olds of I think it's like the 60s had high testosterone. Now 20-year-olds. Impotency in young men is growing through the roof. That's testosterone suppression. It's through diet.
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
It's
I've just frickin' switched, man. I'm not drinking any of those plant milks anymore. Yeah. Nothing.
Seed oils, oat milk, all that stuff.
Yeah, staying away from seed oils.
I'm all usually, I don't know what you put in here, but I'm usually just A2.
Oh, okay. We use a full cream dairy milk.
Sweet.
It's not A2, but it's full cream.
Yeah.
So it's unhomogenized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've always got that stuff. It's always different in the thing, but it's always organic, unhomogenized, A2, this or that, and the full stuff. But the phone does the same thing, the way it fucks with your mind. Yeah. It starts to suppress testosterone. So people don't realise it's coming from all angles. It's not just one thing. And altogether,
interesting.
It brings down.
Man, I saw a video the other day of kids in their sleep. I don't know if you've seen that. And the kids in their sleep, they're got their eyes shut and they're doing this in their sleep. Yeah. They're flipping scrolling. And they're going like this. With their hands. It's insane. You should look that video up.
And it comes down to that endorphin release as well. Yeah. An endorphin release comes after 15 seconds these days.
Yeah.
My biggest endorphin release is after a powerlifting comp. Because it's been a fucking hard grind. It's hard, man. And I've had to go through all those hard training sessions, 20, 30 hours a week. And I have this, and I'll do my comp, hit my numbers, I win, or whatever I do. I'm always proud of what I do. But my endorphin release is massive. But my crash after that is fucking ridiculous. But it builds character. So what comes up must come down. But these guys just go up and down all the time. Yeah. And that's why they're moody. If they don't get what they need right now, they shit the bed. Yeah. Because they don't know how to grind.
Yeah. That's right. And that's perfect. What goes up must come down. And all too often, whether it's in business or other areas of life, we're wanting to plateau or just have this unrealistic expectation that we're just going to constantly just cruise up high. I want to be happy all the time or whatever.
No
And I think
happy's a reaction. People think happy is this constant feeling. It's not.
No.
Happy is a reaction to something that you've done that's a fleeting moment in your life.
Yeah.
So people trying to be, I just want to be happy.
It's totally overrated.
Or after the short endorphin release.
That's right.
You want to be in the trenches because that satisfaction of achieving something that's content. You want to be content.
Yes.
You don't want to be happy.
Oh, I totally agree, man.
Because
I agree.
Because content means you're balanced.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean it might not be hard. It might be hard. It might be easy or whatever. But you're doing what you should be doing. But if you think you're going to be happy all the time, that's why suicide's through the roof, because people are like trying to be happy all the time.
That's right.
And
what's the matter with me?
Can't handle that low.
You think there's something wrong with you if you're feeling a bit down.
Yeah.
When it's completely natural.
It is.
Completely natural.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you move out of it. It's
and they chase an echo chamber. Everyone's got to be in
an
echo chamber now. Everyone's got to agree with me.
Yeah.
No one wants to be disagreed with. Look what's going on in our political scene at the moment. And if you don't disagree, if you disagree with said subject, you're fucking this, or you're racist, or
that's
you're that,
right.
and you're that. It's like, hang on, I voted for this because the country was going down the toilet and financially we're ruined. Hey, yes. And then I put a couple of comments up that says, this is what happens when you go so far left. It's going to come back hard right.
Yeah.
Oh, you vote. And I was like, no, I'm giving you an observation.
Yeah.
I'm saying you go too far to the left, the pendulum is going to swing.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure.
Yep.
Stop going for big swings in the pendulum. Start trying to hit the middle.
Yeah.
Because we're a big country now, and we've got a lot of different people and a lot of different ideas. If you can't come to the middle, we're always going to have this fighting.
Totally. Yep, it does become very polarising.
And people think that the pendulum's because it's, obviously there's one thing going on at the moment in this country with the treaty, but like the left went far with gender ideology. That's the thing that scared me the most. I know what they're putting in the schools. And people who are blind to it don't want to go centre. I mean, I've always gone down those holes and found the information. What are they giving to the kids? This new sex book that they're hanging around the schools now, it's crazy. That's why I went that way. Yeah. You're like, no, you went that way, you're racist. It's like, I've got kids to think of. I don't care about that shit. Sorry, I've got to worry about my circle and what affects me directly, and that affects me directly. That other shit sucks. I get it. But part of what you did is pushing it the other way. So we didn't stay in the middle.
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't stay in the middle. I'd rather be in the middle. And they shifted to the left, so the middle's gone to the left a little bit too. So.
The happiness definition has been sold to us as a different definition and a different meaning in our lives and stuff like that. So it's the same thing. Meanings and definitions being shifted. Yeah, it's hard to keep up.
It's the power of language.
I don't want to keep
Whoever
up.
owns the language owns the narrative.
Yeah, bro. And once you realise that, you can step outside.
COVID showed me that one. The amount of words that they changed in books and stuff, and they were just owning the language. The FDA owns a lot of language. If you want to cure your diseases, most of your diseases is just through proper nutrition and getting your full complex range of minerals, vitamins, and essential metals. Your zincs, your coppers, and magnesiums. And if I'm part of a supplements company that concentrates just on that for health, right? Youngevity, plug, hit me in the link. They're not allowed to say, and we fix people, we get people off statin drugs, we get people with arthritis, no more pain. If cancer's early stages, we can get rid of that. But we're not allowed to say cure.
No, so
we're not allowed to say cure, so we don't cure anyone. So we can't cure you. So I didn't say I could cure you. I can help you get better, but I can't cure you because the FDA own that word. And if you go around saying I can cure someone, they will sue you. Yeah. And the guy that is at the top of this, called Dr. Wallach, he's gone into battle with the FDA 9 times. The FDA is a very powerful organisation. He's just one man. He has won 9 times.
Wow.
You may own the language, but you don't own the outcome. You can prove the outcome. The language doesn't mean shit, but you've got to go through that process. We've got heaps of disclaimers. We can't cure anything. We definitely get you healthy.
Well, Michaela, I don't remember.
Michaela Peterson.
Well, I don't. She's married, so she has a different surname now. But
right.
But yeah, I mean, she did the TEDx talk or whatever on her carnivore diet, the results that she got, and just a simple request for there to be more research done into the diet and the effects of it. And like TEDx wouldn't publish it; they wouldn't have it on their platform.
Yeah,
because it was just going against the grain of the whole veganism thing. And
that's the propaganda.
Yeah,
propaganda world. It's like when we were talking about that last doctor that was, I can't remember his name, it was on Rogan.
Oh, there's a couple. There's Anthony Chafe. I
think it was that last one.
And then there's Sean Baker.
I think that might have been him.
Sean Baker.
He was doing something with the Beef Organisation of America. Even the head guy fixed his diabetes.
Yeah.
And he's like, let's old fund or something about funding. We'll do this. We'll put this out there. And they're like, no.
Yeah.
Because there's backhanded fucking money going around.
Yeah. I mean, you make money off of people that are ill.
And if beef was that bad, why is the biggest beef producer in the world India, who worship cows?
Yeah, I know. I had no idea about that.
They understand how good it is.
Yeah. No, they're the third biggest beef exporter in
crazy,
India. I had no idea.
One of their religions is they idolise cows.
Yeah.
They sacred or something. I might have a little bit of that wrong, but it's along those lines.
Yeah. No, you're right. I had no idea about that.
Yeah,
there's a lot of problems. The world trade drives me insane. And those poor guys in America doing the grass-fed beef, and they're competing with
Gates,
all of the exports. Yeah, and
Gates is buying
Gates
everything.
doing the synthetic stuff.
He's buying up all the farms.
There's some messed up stuff going on. But man, I'm so happy I've discovered the carnivore diet. I've heard about it, but it wasn't until obviously I started doing it, right? Which is duh.
It's like, and when you think about it, it's logical.
Yeah,
it's like it is so logical.
Yeah,
you know, we eat meat. Like if you go back to hunter-gatherer days, they ate meat. They ate seasonal fucking root vegetables and nuts.
Yeah.
And that was it. There wasn't anything in a packet or processed.
Yeah, man. All right. Well, speaking of meat, I'll give you a menu, and
yummy.
You'll probably. We could do you a big breakfast, Ben, of bacon and eggs, maybe.
Yeah, go for it.
Something along those lines.
Yeah, that'll do.
Yep, no worries.
Awesome.
Cool. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for sharing
cheers,
your story with us, telling us all about the powerlifting thing.
I mean, there's so much to talk about. We could just crack on for a long time.
I love rabbit holes. I could go down 10 of them, no worries. Starting to touch base on a couple of them, but no, thanks for having me, guys. This is my first podcast, and hopefully I don't get you demonetised.
No, good.
Get you kicked off YouTube.
We don't make any money anyway.
No, mate. What's it like walking down the street and you're this massive guy?
Oh, look, it's I have this thing. Like it's always been a thing where I get eyeballed a lot and get a lot of piss in competitions and that. I don't really like malls too much. If I'm in a mall, I usually wear a baseball cap.
Yeah,
and I'm very peripheral vision. Like I'll see everything that's going on.
Peripheral vision's awesome.
Yeah, but I look like I'm not paying attention, or I'm looking through you, or not seeing you. I'm only aware of my size in those situations because usually I'm not around a lot of people. And like my best mate Billy's a big boy too. You know, just 17 kilo, built like a brick shit house. And so when I look in the mirror, I feel just normal. So when I see a photo with me, people, it's like even when I was playing league and I wasn't on the sauce or anything, I was still a big dude. Yeah. And I was a centre. I was an outside back. Sometimes playing the forwards, but I was an outside back. And you can see a photo of me sitting with my hands crossed like this next to props, and I'm monstering the mate. It's like, oh shit, it's a bit fucking odd, Ben. Yeah, get a lot of looks, get a lot of sizes. Kids either love it or they don't.
Yeah. No, it's going to be fascinating. I'm looking forward to hearing how the next year or two roll out and how you integrate, your personal life with the sport and other goals or whatever you may have.
Yeah, no, it's an interesting, like I was saying, my partner, well, fingers crossed, we may be moving into, I won't say where it is, but into a big facility, which is like tenfold the size of what we're doing at the moment. Contracts are getting drawn up on this Friday, apparently, so next year's an exciting year ahead. Big moves, big changes, so...
Sweet.
Exciting, yeah.
Yeah, mate, all the best.
Yeah, thanks.
Sweet. Cheers,
Appreciate
Ben.
it. All right, guys. Peace.